Little Hand says it's time to rock and roll.
Bring the noise.
That's the ultimate pressure, and it weighs on the shoulder of Dyson Maeda to win the Premier Sports Cup for Celtic. History beckons right here. It's Maeda! He scores! It's Celtic's moment! It's Maeda's moment!
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Good evening, folks, and welcome to the Etims Post-League Cup Final podcast. My name is Desmond, and I am glad at this point to say, and I'm always glad to say, I am joined by our man in the suburbs, our resident tactician, Hector Bandido. Good evening, Hector.
Mr. Dependable, Desi, that's what
exactly.
you call me, Mr. Dependable.
You are the rock. You are the rock that the Etims podcast
I've been called a cock before, but
no,
not a rock, so there we go. I'll take that.
Yes. Well, you have been. You've been called one. You've been called one a few times recently, because people are still awaiting the rumour mill, by the way. So I will tell you, people are looking for a Christmas rumour mill.
That's so 1990s, Desi. So 1990s.
I did say, well, retro is in. I mean, you do like a bit of retro, let's be honest. But I did say that you probably hadn't sobered up since the weekend, which we're coming to discuss right now. So that's fine. So apologies, folks, but we believe the rumour mill is still lying in an attic somewhere to be discovered by a future generation, let's be honest. So no promises here. Right, so we did expect Ralph Malph to join us, but there's a mad story kicking about.
Well, he did join us, Desi, to be fair.
And we had to let him go because he's talking about a voodoo woman kicking about Stoke, telling everyone she's the reincarnation of Jesus Christ, and she's brought her two apostles down to help, and now Ralph is in her power. So thankfully he's managed to go away via a trip to McDonald's, of all places. So Ralph may join us again if he gets free from this Stoke succubus. Ralph may join us again, but Hector and I have never furrowed our brows so much since the Desmond White days. It's unbelievable, the stories. Right, we may let him loose. We may let him loose, but we'll try and.
But that's what makes him, Desi. That's what makes him the man he is.
It does. And Monty C. Burns, I don't know what the C would stand for. Come on to something.
Is the Country of the Year Awards coming up soon, Desi, right enough, to be fair?
Yeah, he may turn up. We're recording that very soon. He may turn up for that. He may turn up, folks. Apologies for taking so long to get somewhere here. But we're waiting on Monty C. Burns, possibly resurfacing. We believe he may be somewhere in Lisbon at this point in time. He may resurface at some point. We'll wait and see. They may suddenly join Hector and I on tonight's podcast. So, here we are, Hector. As always, again, apologies, I should have said right away. Thanks to everyone for joining and listening. It's always appreciated. As always, please subscribe, like, leave comments, send us any comments you like, and email at etims.contact@gmail.com. Let us shout out to us on Twitter, etimsnet, and we're also Etims on Blue Sky. Always happy to hear from folk. So thank you very much for listening. Thank you, Hector, for joining me again, Hector, because obviously everyone out there, after that crazy game on Sunday, the first question on their lips, Hector, is how was the hospitality at the Kings Park car park on Sunday?
The Kings Park Hotel, as it's now known, Desi.
No, that's along the road. That's along the road. The Kings Park Hotel. That's copyrighted. That's copyrighted.
The Desi, the Mr. and Mrs. Desmond Hotel, we'll call it then, right? Yes, It has to be said, folks. Pre and post match hospitality, no less, right? So not only do you get a car parking space, literally 10 minutes walk from the Celtic end of Hampden, right? You get a pre-match beer. Your son gets a pre-match beer, and after the match, you can also go for a wee visit. And if you want refreshments, get them, or even use the toilet for a wee freshen them up. All for the princely sum of €75, which I think was a great value, Desi. So thanks for that.
To be fair, you did have a team discount, to be fair. But again, anyone who wishes to use the Desmond Kings Park car park at Hampden, this quote, Hector, as your quote, and you'll get 10% off all toilet visits. So there we go. So yeah, it's always a pleasure to have you, Hector. And again, so you turned up on Sunday, maybe an hour and a half before the game. I think we had the team. I think the team had just been announced at that point. Yep. No major surprises. We expected to go with the dependable. So the only question was Engels, Bernardo, Maeda combination. Who would join McGregor?
Hatate, you mean?
Sorry. Yes, I was striking a reel. Yeah, apologies.
Yeah, that was really I suppose the other one would have been a question mark round about the left back, because he's been flipping them a wee bit, hasn't he? Taylor seems to get a wee run, and Valle. But you're right, the midfield three, it was McGregor plus which two was it going to be? So I think there was not really much of a surprise. I thought the previous game, Bernardo's been playing quite well. And Rio, as we discussed, Rio's been a wee bit hit and miss because of the way he plays. He takes the risks, doesn't he? The more risks you take, the more chance there is of losing the possession. If it does come off, you can win your games by taking the risk. So yeah, but I think we were broadly satisfied with 11. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, yes, I would say I was sceptical, and it's not like me, let's be honest.
Not like you.
It's not like me at all. I was sceptical regards Brendan. Brendan's AJ is fine on the Friday, because I just thought, as any clever manager, and obviously he's a clever manager, he's not going to lay his cards on the table that early if there was issues with AJ. I thought, and then when it got announced that AJ was in the starting 11, so everything seemed fine. I think as the game transpired, you could see he clearly wasn't 100% fit, to be honest. I think he was running on 80%. So hopefully now, post that game, he can at least get the rest and recuperation he deserves, because he could obviously need it. But so that was the team. We didn't see any surprises in the team itself, Hector, pre-game. As soon as post Pyros, as we should be calling it now, because this is the latest hill they're all trying to die on. Let's get rid of Pyros out of football. Post the Pyros and the game starting, was it a surprise that Celtic didn't actually turn up?
It was very frustrating. So I suppose there's a couple of ways to look at the whole picture of it, right? They were content to pretty much sit back and keep it compact Clermont's team. That was his tactics, and happy for our defence really to have the ball in around our penalty box, maybe just outside the penalty box. And obviously it was a trigger when it went to one or two key players, mainly on our left-hand side, as we said, mainly kind of on the Trusty or the Taylor side, is when they seem to just press a wee bit more. But the first, I think up until they scored, really, it was two pretty poor teams. They were trying to stop us play, and we were just taking an age, particularly Trusty and Carter Vickers, it has to be said, to pass the ball. What was really frustrating for, obviously, you get the benefit of seeing all the replays on the TV, but being in the game, as I say, I had quite a decent seat in terms of the kind of top deck to the right hand side of the main stand. So you've got a good view looking down, and you can see at times there was channels to pass the ball into midfield's feet, into Rio's feet, and into Bernardo's feet in particular. Mm-hmm. But for some reason, I felt that Carter Vickers and I felt that Trusty in the first half were taking an eternity to make, and it's about risk, and it's as if they were willing to take the risk to just play it through. And that was the frustration. You actually felt at the stadium. We were all getting a bit frustrated. Come on, just pass the fucking ball. We can see the pass there. If it doesn't come off, so what? We'll get it back and go again. And it just was a reluctance. So I just don't know whether they just were just too risk averse, particularly. I'm picking the two centre halves, I think, deliberately, because they were the ones with the bulk of the ball, right? Yeah. And I heard folk saying, but the midfield, trust me, we're moving, because I could see it. They were moving about. They weren't always free, but there was that moments where, I get it, you move from side to side, you try to create space, you do your patterns. But there was times they could have played the ball into that 5-yard gap. It's funny, we'll come to the second half, because then they did it after 55 or 60 minutes the second half, what they didn't do in the first half. So that was the frustration. It was just an eternity to pass the ball. It gave them a bit of confidence as well, that we were taking so long to do things, I think.
Yeah, I think there's a few factors there. We're talking about surprises. Celtic team, when we were in the kitchen talking about the game and talking about bets, etc., then we suddenly realised that Connor Barron was not playing. We were going with the whole kind of more offensive stroke, more energetic. I don't know what the right word would be. I don't really know much about Rangers, to be honest. But they were going with a different kind of dynamic. And then when it came to the game itself, it seemed to be they were like kind of, we'll try man marking, we'll try. But it was the Mcinness factor. we will be happy to let the centre halves have the ball. I mean, like, so they were like going, they're not going to score for there. Let Carter Vickers have it, let Trusty have it, and we'll just wait on them making a mistake. I mean, that's the classic Derek McInnes.
That really was it. And we didn't help matters by taking so long. I thought our passing was off as well. I thought usually reliable players were doing basics wrong. And that's not something you can compensate for if you're a coach. These are good players and they're proving it at the top level. But for some reason, their touch at times, their passing was a wee bit off. And I just think they were lazy in the first half that grew. And here's the thing, we only really created one good chance in the first half. When it was nothing each, when it was Kuhn cut in, skinned him. And it just his final touch, it's easy for me to say he's going that fast, but just slightly ahead of himself, which allowed the keeper just to get out of his feet. If he puts that in, it opens the game up, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Then nothing happened. Then we made the big fuck up, which we'll come to in a minute or two.
Yeah, we'll come in a second. But that's so, yeah, again, like, and I had mentioned when we were on the kitchen, families together talking about the football, blah, blah, what you thought. And I said I had one concern about Trusty, that I still thought he seemed to have a bit of the rabbit in the headlights about him when I've been watching him in a few games. I still don't know if he's came to grips with the sheer enormity of the pressure of playing for Celtic yet. He's done well, don't get me wrong, mate, but I just always feel he's got that little bit of fuck me about him. And he tried one pass on Sunday and it never reached Hatate. And it seemed to be, fuck that, I'm not trying it again.
It spooked him a bit.
I'm not trying it again. Because suddenly, and again, that's just people getting into their shell. It's human nature. But as I pinged on our WhatsApp thing, mate, you can just hear Anne shouting, "Stop fucking passing it backwards." You know what I mean? That was it. That was what they done.
Your point there is interesting because Calmac was asked, and when I got home later on, I kind of went through the penalties and seen some of the post-match interviews. Calmac was asked about things, and he went, "Look, pretty much we've been to all these films, but you still get nervous at them." Mm-hmm. So I'm just what you've said there. I wonder whether that was it. Is it his first cup final, possibly? Calmac's been to 22, 23 and won them all. Is that his first cup final? Is he maybe just spooked him a wee bit? He made a mistake. He thought, shit, I'll do that again. So I'm wondering, maybe they're wrong here, but maybe there's something in that.
Yeah, I mean, like,
he wasn't as if he had a mare, right? It was just...
Alert, God alert. Ralph has entered the conversation. Right, apologies, folks, in advance. The God botherer has now turned up. Hello, disciple Ralph. How are you getting on in Stoke?
I'm fine. How are you?
Okay, we have warned the listener. We've warned George, the listener, that you've just been christened into the Church of Stokely succubuses. So, if you want to tell anybody the story, you can contact Ralph at etims.net, and he will come back to you, but he's not going to discuss it tonight. Ralph, we're just talking about the League Cup final, so I'm really glad you're on, because usually I'm the pragmatic guy. I try and take the positive side of everything with a bit of realism, but I do know you went full line and sinker, and I mean this in a good way, Ralph, because I was fully behind you in rant mode on Sunday about how shite they were, especially in the first half.
It was at half time, yeah. We've had a pattern of play this season where we let teams come at us. We want more time on the ball. From Falkirk, I think, were the first ones to do it. And teams come at us. We don't know what to do. The disaster in Bruges with Carter Vickers should have been the end of it, but we started the same way. We didn't know how to deal with it. And we went in 1-0 at half time. Started the second half, if their boy had played, when it was 4-on-1, if he'd played it left, that would have been 2-0. Mind you, I suppose he probably felt Carter Vickers had more of a chance of putting it in the back of the net. That's the kind of thing he does just lately. But
just before we go into the second half, just bring it back a wee bit, Ralph. Exactly. So we're just coming up to Taylor's mistake there. And that was just the cherry on top, because Hector had been talking about how it was Carter Vickers and Trusty with the ball. It wasn't going anywhere. The passing was too slow. It was sideways or backwards. They weren't even. I don't even think they were looking to. They were looking to see where the midfield were, but they were never looking to find them with the ball, Ralph. They were just taking the safer option of, I don't want to be the guy making this mistake, and ultimately that would be Taylor, kind of thing. It was coming.
A pattern again. If you remember one of the European games where it looked like the defence was too far back and the midfield was too far forward, and
big gaps.
Perhaps just the gaps between the three lines, and they went back to that again on Sunday. They weren't especially any good. In the first half, an awful lot of long balls, and sooner or later, the kind of pressure they were putting on the defence was going to lead to a mistake.
Yeah, but I think though, right? There's mistakes and there's mistakes, and we're coming to Taylor's mistake.
Right, so we're here now, Hector.
That was a dreadful mistake. Right, let's cut to the chase with this one. There's fuck ups. That was a major fuck up. He actually 3 Rangers players in front of him. See where he passed it? He actually passed it right across the middle when there's 3 Rangers, 4 of them pressing, 1 came to him and 3 others, and any one of a couple of them could have got to that. So we all players will make mistakes. That's human, I get it, but that was really up there as a horrendous one. And by the way, and we'll come to it in a wee bit, and hopefully we don't forget it. The one they were through 4 and 1 was Taylor again, right? So, and if they should have buried that, and I'm just glad they didn't for a number of reasons. The first one being, if Taylor had cost us 2 big goals like that and we're 2-0 down, lost the cup, you can just imagine what would have happened next, right? So I was over the moon that not only did the second not get in for obvious reasons, but see the first goal we got, even though it took deflection, that he did it because we need it. It was good for him. That I think the left back's one of your big things to bring in, but I don't want that to happen to any player. So I was over the moon when we got and it was him. Didn't have to hit fucking 10 of them in the way, and he got it. So that was really good for him. Right.
So here's a question, right? So I've written here this, for topic's sake, has Big Phil sus Brendan out, right? And we're talking about Mcinness. He's approached the exact same. Let the centre halves have the ball. Hector, as a tactician, we'll come to you in a second, Ralph, for the same question. Do we think that Brendan could have done something else in the first half, or do you think he just thought, let's get to half time and I'll sort that out at half time, rather than try to actually try to, like Ralph mentioned, the big gaps. Like the ball was never getting to McGregor, to get to Kuhn, to get to Kyogo. It was just like we played in 3 separate sections, and the ball was hardly ever in the first section. Kyogo probably wondered what the ball looked like.
The problem is we don't know, right? Because you see him, obviously Hamden's got the big gap for the main stand to the touchline, and he's standing there at his bit. There's quite a distance from the dugout area and with the manager. Hamden must be the biggest one in the land by quite some way. So we don't know, because he was pretty much standing there. So I've no doubt he's clever as we know. He'll not be happy with it. And he wasn't happy in his post-match comments about it. So maybe, I don't think he's saying use it quicker. But the fact he took off Trusty at half-time and he wasn't injured, Desi, I think that kind of answers your point. Because we were all thinking at the stadium, oh, my big fella must have, is he hurt himself? Is he tweaked a muscle or something? But it was tactical. And the tactical part of it was he wasn't passing the ball quickly enough to the players in space.
And
so I think that answers it to some degree.
Yeah, but I also don't think he had the gumption or the gall of Scales, Scales will 5 times out of 10 at least lose the ball when he runs into the opposition midfield, let's be honest. But he's got the bravery to do it, and I don't think at this point, Ralph, Trusty quite has that bravery. I was saying before you came on, I still think Trusty, personally, he's done well since he came, but I still don't think he quite grasps how big, or we don't grasp how big the pressure must be on somebody like Trusty coming to play for Celtic in a cup final. Hector was even asking, has he got much cup final experience? So again, the guy's only human. We appreciate that, but I think the occasion got to him on Sunday, to be honest.
And then when the occasion gets to you, the fear to do anything individual even, it's too great. So he'll stick to the pattern that he's been coached into. And they were all doing that. And Scales, it's maybe a wee bit braver. He plays a wee bit more of his heart as well. So if he doesn't see the option, he'll look for the option. And if it's not there, he'll carry it forward a wee bit until something becomes available. Whereas the rest of them, they don't. They'll play it across and hope that something happens. Whereas Scales will try and make it happen. Plus, he's more of a goal threat as well.
Yeah, it was unlucky actually with a header. But Ralph, just sticking to the recurring patterns, you and I have talked a lot about this, and I think Hector and Monty are more forgiving, let's say. They look more positive, whereas I think you and I have been kind of going, we're not actually playing that well. No, like I know we've been winning games and we've had a brilliant run, Hector, etc., etc. But in football reality sense, I still think we take far too many touches. You know what I mean? We still pass the ball back far too many times.
How big's your window, Desi? How big's your window if that's not playing well? Is it saying 3 games? Is it saying 10 games? What are you saying? Because I'm just curious. I'm scratching my wee brain here, thinking we've actually not lost a game.
Yeah.
And we're miles ahead this season,
Yes.
and we'll get 9 points in the Champions League. We've just won a cup. There's a pattern here, apparently.
That is not what I'm saying.
I'm asking a question.
What I'm saying is, I don't think. Well, okay, let me rephrase it. I do not believe we are playing anywhere near as good as we could play. How would that be? And again, I'm not being negative. What I'm trying to be is the way I'm viewing it as we could be playing a whole lot better, Ralph, and I'm happy to.
I accept that, but over the course of a season, you get through periods where you don't play your best. Was it just 4 games ago we're 5-0 up against Ross County at half time? I missed that. Was that no?
No, but that's taking games in isolation. What I'm trying to say is
looking at 3 games.
No, I'm looking through across the whole season.
Whole season? We've scored 3 goals a game.
So you could go, oh, we did really well to get a draw at Atalanta. We did really bad to get gubbed with Dortmund. And if you take them on isolation, what I'm saying is when I watch Celtic this season so far, I still think there's a whole lot more that could come for that team. I still we didn't turn up in the League Cup. We've not turned up in a lot of games recently.
We don't win the semi-final 6-0, Desi. No, but that not happened last one.
It doesn't even you're looking at the end result justifies the means, so it doesn't matter. I'm trying to look overall and say,
what are you looking for?
We do better? Could we do better? Could we close those lines between the sections in the team?
Eddie, why do we have that? We've drew 1 game. It's Christmas.
See again, you are getting back to you're looking at the end results are we've done. The stats say we've done great, and that's fine. What I'm trying to say is, from my perspective, footballing perspective, I believe we could still do a lot better from a footballing perspective, not a results perspective.
Over 3 games, aye, but there's always mitigating. What games are you talking about?
The start of the season.
The start of the season? Oh, yes. No, you're wired to the moon.
Well,
I've just got a feeling that somebody's going to give us that previous campaigns in Europe that we've kind of made an arse of it right at the end, and we've not scored 1 more when we needed to. I've still got a horrible feeling that we might well have made an arse of this campaign.
Honest to God, man.
All right.
This is mental.
It's not mental to say. It's not mental to say you're currently scoring a B+. There's a good chance you could get an A in your next exam. There's not. I mean, at this point in time,
but I'm just trying. But you can't. I'm asking, right. I'm looking at the results over the season, the goals we've scored, and a lot of the performances, both domestically. We've just won a cup at the weekend. Listen to you two as if we didn't win it, right? Negativity we're getting.
I really don't.
There's a sea. You were talking away for 5 minutes there, right? There's a sea of negativity for you two, and we've just won a cup without playing well. Always looking for more, and I agree with you. There's a pattern at times where you get through peaks and troughs in the season. We've probably hit their own standards, I think. I'm not disputing that. It's a fact. I think for Pittodrie was a poor performance, but we ground out a victory. Was it no pissing the rain and blowing a gale up there, but we ground out a victory? Correct. Yeah, we just ground out a victory the weekend there, again, to win a cup again, right? No perfect football by any means, but we ground it out because you've got today, it's December. We've been playing a countless number of games this season. We've done really well in Europe. We've been pumping teams 4, 5, 6-0 this season. I'm just struggling to see, is the expectation now that almost every game's got to be to such a standard that there's no leeway given to the team? I'm struggling with this, by the way. Genuinely struggling.
If you're struggling, then you can struggle all you like. All I am saying is, I'm explaining it as perfectly as I can explain it. I believe, from a footballing perspective, that we could still be a lot better. So that might be bringing in a Kieran Tierney in January to make that left back position where it needs to be, to connect the left back to the left winger. That idea. There's breakups in that team at the moment. There's wee bits that could be improved upon. That's something. There's kind of combinations. There's kind of 3 touches at a time. Fuck that. We don't need to take 3 touches at a time.
But is this the last few games?
No, this is my general impression that I still think there's constant room for improvement. Maybe I just ask too much.
No, there always is. That was my mantra about wanting Starfield replaced and Taylor replaced a couple of years ago.
That was
Nobody
madness,
disliked
clearly.
them.
That was
Nobody
madness.
disliked them.
Starfield would have been
What's-
smoking
what's your
cigars on
Team
Sunday.
improve, right? I know you love them to bits, especially Taylor, and you can't take criticism of them, but I can criticise them, right? But I get it. I get every team's got to aspire to improve, but I'm looking at the results to now. And I'm thinking, we played well that game, we played rubbish that game, but we won. Played well that. I'm struggling to get through this pattern you're talking about. Genuinely, Desi, I'm looking at it now. Give me examples of these games where we. I gave you the last 2 or 3 which we've won, by the way. But where else have we been?
Yeah, but that's
No
right.
good.
So, right, we'll move on. No, we'll move on because I'm not here to argue about people being negative and people being positive. Let's just concentrate on the League Cup final.
It's a good thing, Desi.
No, let's concentrate on the League Cup final because that's why I'm here tonight. Right. So Taylor makes a mistake, which was coming, Ralph. Right. So then we come to half time. But Hector made a note before. In fact, Hector made a note before that he wanted to make sure that we discussed the officials. And at one point, Ralph, I don't know if you heard that, Lenny exclaiming, "Come on, man," to the near side linesman, who clearly gave Rangers a throw in when Carter Vickers clearly played the ball off the guy's leg. There wasn't even any. There was a space between the 2 players when they played it. It wasn't as if it was like a tackle.
Change the direction and the ball where it hits them. And there was, as you're watching on the TV, it's a near set. It's a North Stand linesman. He was, shall we say, more than capable of a few mystifying decisions. And that kind of carried on throughout the game. But there were a couple of throw-ins, there was a couple of free kicks. There was a booking for Alistair Johnston after he got punched, more or less. I think the 2 players get booked. There was the attention seems to have been on the penalty that wasn't. That seems to be the big focus of what the officials did. But whereas in fact they could easily or should have had 3 or 4 red cards for nothing less than assault. So maybe it's a deflection tactic to kind of throw away from what was incompetence and what was just beating at his normal game. It just didn't work. He blew for that free very quickly. And the penalty incident happened after he'd blown. It happened twice. In fact, because it happened earlier on in the game where one of our players did foul one of theirs, but there was already a foul on one of ours before in the box again. So
I was right in line with that one, Ralph. Right in line with it. And in real time, he was outside the box. And we were actually, being a fan, complaining that what's he going to fell for that for? But he clearly blew his whistle before anything else had carried on. But see the linesman at that side, for the first half, for the first 10 minutes, it was every decision. Anyone that was slightly was us or them. It wasn't even open to debate. It was one team got it. And it got to the point where the fans, and all fans were fans, and they've got it against us. But it was like, you mentioned pattern. There was a clear pattern of decision making. It was only going one way for that near side linesman. And then beaten by the yellow cards, was they get 8 players booked, I think it was. 8 players booked, and how many of them? There was one where Kyogo, we were breaking away, and Kyogo got to the halfway line. I think it was it Proper pulled them back. Kyogo get booked.
Yeah.
5 seconds later. But what's he getting booked for? And he get kind of almost rugby tackled in the halfway line as we were trying to break away. So I just felt that the officials got off it too easy.
Hold on. Is that 2 bookings in 2 games for Kyogo now? Did he not get booked in the last game where his knee hit a goalkeeper? And how many bookings do need to be suspended? And when do we play them in the league?
Does that count? But does the League Cup count? I think it doesn't need to be a red card for violent conduct.
Just a thought. Yeah. But there was a couple I saw. The one where Kuhn got just taken out. Yeah. Was it Diamandi? No, it was the Brazilian fellow that
Jefte.
Brought him down. When Carter Vickers got punched, or it looked like a punch, and the Rangers player, the forward, he was lying rubbing his stomach as though he'd been hurt. And it's obviously a tactic for them to get several players booked to break play up, to stop us getting into our flow. And maybe we're being a bit overcritical that we can't make the moves because they are playing to stop that.
I think you put the nail on the head, Ralph. You've jumped to it, right? The fact they get 8 bookings for beaten, and it could and should have been more additional cautions for players that might have led to red cards. The amount of times they were breaking up the play, stopping us, and that's fine, that's football, they're pros, right? I get it. But there was a pattern to everything they were doing, was to stop us playing. Then I think it was something on Twitter, actually a Rangers fan who did some analysis of the game, and it showed you the amount of times that their keeper punted the ball. It was something like 26 or 30 times when they had players to pass it to. So it was all about killing the game, breaking it up, allowing no flow. And again, if it comes to football, we're going to win, right? So he's not going to play us at football. It's like us trying to play against, I don't know, Borussia Dortmund at football, right? And we're going to get our arses stopped. Aye, right? But it was interesting. I think that's a large part. It was no allowing a game to get any flow, take any rhythm to a game. Because it suits us to get a rhythm. It doesn't suit them if we get a rhythm. They want this kind of bitsy game. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it is the whole punting thing. Again, that whole plan B, like we had to wait till like Ida comes on for that. But get back a wee bit. So we bring Scales on for Trusty, Hector. As Ralph mentioned there, he provides a goal for it also. And then he duly provides an assist for the assassin that is Greg Taylor, with that beautiful kind of rocket shot of his to equalise. Did he run towards you? Did he hear you? Did he hear you calling his name?
No, but Dyson did, Desi. Dyson ran over to me and he was actually shouting, "Hector, I'm going to score one for you, Hector." And he duly did. We'll come to that piece of magic in a minute, Desi, right? But funny enough, just before the goal, we suddenly a switch attack. We started passing it through the lines to Bernardo in particular, and he was second half is our side. So you can see this. He's got 5 yards every time, and we started doing it. But it was a crack. To be fair, was it Butland? It was a cracking save. Do we
think Rangers were tiring? I'm just you're saying that there, or is it just we were finding the man better? We were finding space and the speed of pass maybe better.
We passed it quicker. We absolutely passed it quicker. We did what we weren't doing in the first half in terms of, and you're going to have to take a risk at times. And they were so risk averse, the two centre halves, the first half, but the second half they weren't. They were actually putting it through. And Carter Vickers would have been our side attacking to the traditional Celtic end. You've got his right hand side. You had obviously Johnston, then Ralston come on, but you've got Bernardo in that space where you've got Kuhn hugging the touchline. Kyogo's a striker, but Bernardo was finding that wee pocket all the time. He did the same in the first half, but the difference was that Carter Vickers in particular was looking to pass it to him all the time, and it made a difference. I think a couple of our goals came down that way, but the one I was going to talk about was the first goal. The first goal came from exactly that, and to be fair to Butland, I thought it was a brilliant save. Was it Kyogo at the near post?
Yeah.
It was going in. Yep. And then we got the corner, scored the goal. So, but yeah, I was honestly delighted for Taylor because I thought he was that close to costing us the second goal. And you can see his head, you can see he was starting to wilt a wee bit in the pitch. And him getting that was a relief for all of us, I think, because it helped him God knows how much, and it helped us obviously getting that goal.
Mm-hmm. So that was the equaliser, and you thought, okay, Ralph, okay, we're back in the game, we're settled, we're clearly taking the game to Rangers. And then, similar to a mess up at our end in the first half, they've got a bit of a mess. Superstar Raskin, Ralph, I don't know if you've heard about this new guy. I think he's about 40 million he's worth by now. He was involved in at least 3 goals at the weekend, none of them for Rangers somehow. But Raskin then heads the ball down, and then Billy Wiz Maeda does what Billy Wiz Maeda does. This is Hector. You can imagine in Matrix Bullet time, Maeda's running towards the ball. Hector's starting to rise from his seat in the stand with a sheer exuberance. His son's looking at him as if
something was rising, Daddy. Something was certainly rising in the stand.
And then the ball, like Maeda challenges, the ball goes up in the air, Ralph. And let's be honest, at that point, are you thinking he's going to kill it beautifully, take it to the side and then smash it home? Or you think it's going to bounce off his head and go everywhere? Or were you like, Hector, you knew it was going in the back of that net?
It was in the back. See, we forget that he's a central striker for Japan.
Yeah.
We play out of position. And now that he's getting into a kind of run of scoring goals, he scored in the Champions League, he scored in the league, he's kind of more used to coming in from the left and sort of doubling up as a striker. Whereas before he was playing as a winger, and you could maybe tell he wasn't too sure whether he was going to cross or shoot. So he didn't do any usually, just hit it and hope what happened. But he's if it's possible, he's getting even better as the season goes on, because he's been outstanding this season, and it's always nice to have somebody like you can count on when the chips are down.
I think somebody put up like some of the stuff. I think 10 goals, so many in the League Cup, and then so many against Rangers, Hector. So it's like you normally it's the opposite. You're no your player, but like you're kind of, or the star men will turn up against the Diddy teams. Maeda just seems to go, this let me know when it's a big game and I'll turn up for you. No, that way.
Nothing seems to faze him. Nothing. If he gets a bad foul against him, he just gets up, doesn't he? He just gets up, scores a goal, has a wee celebration, then just walks back to the touchline as if he's just made himself a piece and sausage. You know what I mean?
I don't know if you remember. I don't know if you remember when we were in the kitchen and my daughter did. We were looking at the bets. My daughter did say Maeda is 1 to 50, 1 to 50 on odds to have a tackle to create a foul today. And see, when we went through Tavernier at one point, I just thought there's a million bookies crying out in pain. I mean, because they all know that was a sure bet coming up. You know what I mean?
But see his goal. Just stepping back to his goal a wee second. You mentioned Raskin and the Rangers centre half, but nobody else in their team could have got to that ball. And it's because of his press. He leads the press. Kyogo, right? But in terms of the coverage, the ground cover, Maeda was phenomenal. But to number one, to anticipate, bear in mind this is the centre of the pitch. He's traditionally playing in the left wing, so he's the ball in the middle of the pitch. He's then sprint. He's took the chance to sprint to his position. Must have sprinted 20, 30 metres into the number 9 position where the centre backs are. To get in front of the centre half, you should say, it was up in the air. Most of us are probably thinking he's going to hit his shin or something to try to control it, which was really difficult technique. But as soon as it dropped in front of him, we're all kind of thinking, there was like a wee hush, like, oh, he's not gone, he's no, and he did. And it was, you can imagine, it was bedlam. It was only a few minutes after we'd equalised. But the goal itself, I think for me, is probably the goal of the season, because the difficulty in doing what he did was just immense.
Well, that's very interesting, because there is a goal of the year award due to come up in our up and coming awards ceremony, which will be broadcast at another date. So that'll be interesting to see if that is a contender. But Maeda, as you say, the two you say, he is, and he's just one of the perfect, not even like a cult player, because everybody I think appreciates the quality of him now. They don't really look at they don't complain when he does that kind of, he's quiet in a game, or he runs and the cross goes wide or out the park, etc., etc. Because you know that quality moment is this round the corner, and it turns up, as I said before, it turns up when it really matters. He's not one of the guys that just turn up against your bottom six. You know what I mean? He actually turns up when it really matters. No hiding, and he gets stuck right in, as I say, when right through Tavernier, when right through a few of them. He's always there. I mean, it must be, I've said before, it must be as hard as teak. I mean, it must have, like, the sheer strength from the guy must be unbelievable.
He's got the feeling in years to come, when next generation looks back and say it's 10 years' time, 15 years' time, that he's going to be one of those. There'll be many of them, but because we've been so successful the last 10, 15, 20 years, you think he'll be one of those ones that'll be that small group that's an iconic player. Just in terms of how he played, the big goals scored, and him, how he looks, he's got that. His own kind of way, isn't he? Where every 2 weeks he's changing how he looks, and he always looks kind of, I don't know, he just looks quite funny in a good way, if that makes sense. He didn't care, kind of thing. He'll dye his hair blonde, he'll do something, and you'll go, it's Dyson, and he can do what the fuck he wants.
Well, exactly that, and it's strange. Like Kyogo was an instant icon, Ralph, and Maeda. This comes in, even though he was probably a bigger name in like the Japanese team, etc., and probably in Japan, I don't know for sure, but he just came in and he's gradually just let his work do the talking. No, that way it's just like gets on with it. Clearly a perfect professional. Goes away to Japan, comes back straight into the team again. then when he does win cups for you, the first thing he does is go into the crowd and get his wains and bring him onto the pitch. And mind there was a game recently, I know, and I think he'd won the game. I can't remember. Apologies, listeners. I can't remember what game it was. This say it was Tannadice or Motherwell or something. But he's had a blinder, scored. It might have been the Aberdeen hat-trick in the League Cup semi. But they're interviewing, I think, Brendan Rodgers after the game, and there's Dyson playing behind him with his two wains on the pitch with a ball. None of that into the dressing room with the champagne or anything. He's straight onto the pitch with his wee boy and his wee lassie kicking a football about. Unbelievable.
It just looks like a happy player, just a happy wee soul that goes to his work, enjoys every minute of it, puts the effort in, and then he gets away home and plays with the Waynes. And it's just, he's not your typical superstar footballer, is he? He's not got that reputation that he wants to keep up. He's just himself. Take him as he is. I think that's what it is with him.
So that's part one of the Maeda magic, right? We'll come to part two towards the end, but let's go back to the game. So 2-1 up. We're thinking everything's looking good. Well done. We're really in this game. We're fun. We're found our energy, Hector. We're back in it. And then somewhere in the vaults or the depths of Hampden, did a plumber or somebody turn a gauge and turn our energy levels off? Because suddenly we just seemed to. The air went out the balloon. We were running in treacle. It was unbelievable.
They did a strange thing. After we went 2-1 up, we were in top again for the next 5 minutes. Then they did a strange thing. They actually then had attacked us. So rather than playing parasite football, waiting for us to make a mistake like the first goal, they actually had a go at us, and we didn't react well to it at all. I thought we were too passive. You know, rather than confronting them, go for the jugular, which we did for the first 5 minutes after we made it 2-1. I thought the third goal's coming here for the next few minutes. But then, like you say, we became passive again. So why are we doing that? What's happened here? I still haven't seen their second goal, by the way. I don't know. It seemed to be a bit of a scrappy thing.
It comes into the box with our left. I don't know if Bally was on at that point. I think Engels was maybe standing next to the guy. I've seen a few folk complain that he could have done it, but I can't remember exactly. But the balls came into Diamande, and Carter Vickers is trying to shepherd them, but he's literally dropped a shoulder and fun that quarter of a yard. It wasn't even half a yard, and he's kicked it. And as Schmiechels went down to try and parry it away, Kyogo's tried to tackle it, and he's nudged it this past Schmeichel. So it was one of the comedy of errors that should never get anywhere near. The ball should never get in the box. He should never get turned, and then Kyogo should never have deflected by Schmeichel. This a stupid goal.
The defender Engels should have got goal side him, and he maybe thought he was. He thought that he was blocking it. There wasn't much room for it to get through. It's just one of the ones that goes through.
It's very stupid.
We shouldn't have been in that position. The ball shouldn't have been there. We shouldn't have been hesitating as we were in the run up to it. And it goes back to something Callum McGregor said after the Bruges game, where if we're not going to win it, we don't want to lose it. And with the Postecoglou sort of we never stop, we wanted Rodgers, I suppose, to be a wee bit more pragmatic, especially in Europe. And I think that's possibly why once we're in front, we're not being so aggressive, so gung-ho. And the trouble is when we switch off, we're allowing teams onto us, and daft wee goals like that change games, especially cup finals.
Yep, and I am very glad, folks, to announce that the C in Monty C. Burns stands for Could You Look Who's Just Turned Up? Monty, good evening. Welcome to the League Cup Final Review podcast.
Good evening, lads. Sorry I'm a little bit late.
Are you in Portugal? Or Lane bets that you're in Portugal. Where are you?
No, I'm in northern Sweden, Desi.
Oh, sorry, Hector. I can only apologise. He's up visiting Mikael Lustig yet again.
Here, things that I learned actually the other night over dinner. Lustig, apparently, as a surname, is quite a historical surname in Sweden, but it's kind of like jester or like a funny guy.
All right.
So yeah, random, because his name came up in conversation, as did God's name on Monday night.
Well,
about 1,600 kilometres south of here.
Apologies, Monty, you are not privileged to the start of this podcast where Ralph has been explaining how he has met God's reincarnation in Stoke. So if you and Ralph would like to have an off-site discussion after this, feel free. We're trying to make sure Ralph does not go off on his disciple rants before the end of the podcast. So, Monty, where did you watch the game? Were you at the game? Did you get there, or were you somewhere in the world on Sunday?
I didn't actually get to watch it. I got to follow it on the BBC's glorious bless Colin Moffat for his fucking angst. And I only got to follow it in parts because I was traveling, Desi. I think I got the result when we touched down in northern Sweden. I got the fact that we were at penalties and had a few sort of WhatsApp messages come through. So I've only really got to watch the goals, the celebration, and then read Colin Moffat's delicious.
Yeah, I was going to say, so does it say bollocks Celtic equalised? Did it actually say that?
He was one step away from jammy finging cunts. It was delicious.
There is your
I couldn't
t-shirt,
help
folks.
it.
Jammy finging cunts. There is your Christmas t-shirt. Ho ho ho, jammy finging cunts. Lovely. Yes.
So certainly, as I came in on the tail end there, and obviously we had our WhatsApp messages, Ralph's sentiment seemed to be quite consistent. There was lots of wailing and gnashing of teeth as to how the fuck we'd let in 3 goals. But yeah. I'm looking forward to watching it fully when I get home, Desi, provided I can get out of this snowstorm tomorrow. So.
Oh, very nice. That's a wee change from Portugal. Yes, Ralph's wailing may have been while he was going through his conversion therapy, to be fair to his new religion, so we're not really sure if that was watching the game. But we're just at the stage of Rangers have just equalised to make it 2-2, Monty, right? Oh. So I know you may not have seen it. So we'll come to the Engels and Kuhn masterclass, Hector. Apologies, he's just yawning here. He's getting so engaged. Apologies, listeners, if you're doing the same. So
Monty has that effect.
It's my hypnotic voice.
Monty lying in a bed in northern Sweden. We should just add by the looks of it.
And here in a hotel made 100% of wood. I have to add.
Nice.
It looks like an inappropriate sauna. You're in there.
It basically looks like you're in IKEA in Hallington trying to buy a futon. Let's be honest. Right, Hector. The Engels and Kuhn. Let's run up the park and score a cracker goal.
So Engels comes on for Bernardo, doesn't he? So in effect fills the same space. And again, it came through that bit we spoke about earlier on. We won the ball in the break, and it was good to see Kuhn being Kuhn, but the overlap that then Engels did to go around him, and rather just fire the ball across goal, which I think most of us were probably expecting. It was a lovely cutback, wasn't it, to Kuhn, who just held his run because he knew that Ida and probably Maeda were in the 6-yard box already.
I think Maeda at that point was in the Asda at Torry Glen, getting the family dinner.
He was in the Celtic end celebrating before the ball hit the net. And a lovely finish by Kuhn. But it was a really, really good goal, lovely bit of quality. And what was that, 88 minutes, was it?
Was it as late as that?
It was as late as that.
I can't remember.
And we thought that was it. We thought that. I certainly did. I don't know, you guys, I thought that
was it. Exactly. You just assumed. I was just, Ralph, I was clapping my hands, thinking, well done, that's it. Nice to see. We reclaimed the lead again. Marvellous. And apparently, Brendan Rodgers, John Kennedy had this came and he was shaking Brendan Rodgers' hand, Ralph, when we decided that it's nice to be nice, and 40 seconds later we would let Rangers score with a simple cross into the box. I mean,
it was dreadful.
I've still not seen it. What actually? But what happened? I've still not seen it.
Somehow the 40 seconds. I can't remember what happens for the kickoff. But obviously we are just still in celebration mode on the pitch, going right. Okay, I wonder if my family will see me collect my medals or whatever. And somehow the balls end up out on our left. Similar, I don't know where Bali was or whatever, or where our kind of left-sided players were meant to be. But it seems Rangers have got plenty of time just to swing the ball right in, and was it Danilo? This runs in between two centre halves.
Just turns around, looks at him, Schmiechels looking at everybody else, and that was it.
I think somebody tried to blame Ralston, and Ralston was the only guy trying to actually defend. The rest of them were never to be seen.
To be fair, you see, to be fair on that, Desi, because these are obviously the clips that I've been watching on repeat. They try and get caught up. From the kickoff, there's a bit of a, there's just a bit of a fight for the ball, if you want to call it that. And the ball ends out at, I think it's Cherney. But the cross that he puts in, genuinely, lads, if that was one of our guys, you'd be going fucking wonderball. Because he put it in to that one place in between both centre halves where Danilo had just made a good run. It actually, well, you can say it now in the aftermath, it actually was just a really good fucking goal. There was nothing, but you're right, we were probably still celebrating. We probably thought we'd done it.
See, just to confirm, Hector and Ralph, it is true that the air is thinner up in northern Sweden. So it ends up, the atmosphere can you end up, your brain lacks oxygen at that kind of level, and you end up talking absolute fucking nonsense. Similar to King's Park a lot of the times, to be fair. Yeah, fair enough. Exactly. Fair's fair, I suppose, Monty, you're right. But again, there are always those stupid goals that you hate to concede. Like you always think, how can one guy get between two or even beat three guys and a 6'5" keeper? These sort of things you always just imagine. Surely you can keep somebody at bay, Hector, and keep them out your for 2 minutes.
I think more so because it happens so quickly after we thought we'd just won it.
Yeah.
Right. So, and that's we're still celebrating the stadium. You know what I mean? We've not sat doing yet. If you're thinking, fucking get up, he's 3-2 up, game's done. Wait a minute, they've just fucking scored. So it was whereas if it's 5 minutes or 10 minutes apart, it was just so quick. So as I say, I've not seen the replay. I just seen it real time. I just thought it seemed to get a free header from where I was, opposite end of the ground.
Yeah. So here's a question, Ralph, because the answer from me would be no. Can you remember anything from extra time?
I watched swearing in my house. Well,
that's no, I'm talking about football related. I'm talking about the game related.
Shot and goal. There was a couple more bookings, probably a few more bookings actually, but nothing of any note. Maybe everybody was shattered. We obviously had the win taken ourselves. They weren't capable of anything. There was a lot of cramp. I think I remember a lot of their players going down with cramp, and they were just playing for penalties by then.
There's only one team trying to win it, Ralph.
We were trying, Hector. You're right.
We were trying to win, and they had every play behind the ball. And as you said, Ralph, this goes back to the officials again. They were time wasting for the keeper taking a turn to take a goal kick, for players lying down with cramp who miraculously recovered, throw-ins taking an eternity. So we were camped in their half, and we had one, I thought, great chance the first period extra time, and it was one of the rare bits of lovely football, and it was Engels, I think, was through in goal. Was it Rio that put him through? Nice wee bit of passing, and his first touch let him down, and he was clean through in goal. I'm not sure. I mean, 1-1 at the keeper. It was a fantastic score with his aye, and that was. But they were just playing for penalties. They got their wish. They were just killing the game, and anyway. But that was my take on it. What I seen.
Right. So we come to end extra time. To be honest, another 3-3 win for Rangers. Let's be honest, they were the better team according to the Scottish media and Big Phil. Comes to penalties. Hector is so. I didn't even notice that. Whatever happened, I missed it. They had two. You toss a coin twice. You toss a coin twice to decide which end and who goes first.
Yeah.
Is right. So Callum McGregor, Monty, he lost the coin toss twice. Surely we must remove the captaincy from that guy. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Judging by Ralph's WhatsApp, I called up on too. He'd have been joining Rodgers and getting the boot because I think Rodgers got sacked 3 times maybe during that cup final.
Yeah, but surely they should practice coin tosses at Lennox time. You know what I mean?
I mean, if they practiced them as well as Big Phil had been telling everybody before the game, Rangers had been practicing penalties.
Did he get a trophy for that, Desi? Did he get a trophy?
The Tosser Cup. They won the Tosser Cup. They've won. We're sending
they've now got 119 trophies now as well.
Yeah. So we're coming at
123.
Because they won the Glasgow Cup last night. It's actually 120. So they're actually going to do.
Okay.
So with the Tosser Cup, they went in front. Yeah, right. So penalty time, Hector. I'm assuming it's away from you. It's away down the other end. So there we
It was a
go.
good
So
view. It was actually a better view for us because I was almost in line with the opposite goal. So we got a shit view. If you know if it's in, but it's doing that end, I got a great view of all the penalties. And it was just interesting down the end. What I loved was Schmeichel's shithousery. I fucking loved that, right? And he wasn't. Monty, if I was you, I would fast forward to the penalties, right, and just watch Schmeichel, and you'll piss yourself laughing because Beaton was so. Schmeichel was dominating Beaton. Beaton was kind of what we could see from a distance was the referee saying, "Look, one go in the goal line." Schmeichel went fine, but he refused to leave the penalty spot when the Rangers player was coming up. So Beaton must have said to him every fucking time, "Back to your goal line." Schmeichel didn't give a fuck. He was just staring him in the eye. I don't know if they tell you they probably got a better view. Where I was, we were all laughing. Schmeichel's in there, the cunts. He's giving it big licks, fucking this, fucking that, and you go. And we knew, Desi, Schmeichel was going to save at least one. We just knew it. It was a weird feeling. You know, we're taking yours, you're obviously a wee bit nervous, but you knew Schmeichel was definitely going to save at least one penalty because he was in their heats and he was relentless, wasn't he? He was shithousery. He wouldn't stop.
Right, so there's two parts before I forget. Like, say if you watch one tape and you watch the penalties again, you probably watched them a few times. But if you watch Hadji's penalty, as soon as Hadji scores his penalty, he just starts shouting at Schmeichel. You watch it again, you'll just see him. He basically turns around and says, "You go fuck yourself." No, like you can't see what he says, but you know he's fucking shouting right at him. Oh, it's then you kind of go, "Oh, I wonder what." And Schmeichel's actually unlucky with Hadji's penalty. He could have maybe got it. And I'm this you said that, Hector. I'm just wondering, what did he say to Hadji before that? Because Hadji's obviously went, "Get it up, you fucking scored against you."
If that was a player, you're shite, something like that. You know what I mean? but what? Sorry, Des, I was going to say, but one thing but one thing just on that, which I found really interesting, was Butland was impeccable. He didn't fucking try and do anything. Butland,
he's a gentleman.
He stood over there, fucking away in the back line, 6 yards away. And I thought, you're watching your opposite keeper doing that, and the ref letting him do it. You're going to fucking try this. And he didn't do it. It's quite strange.
Because he's respectable. He was, there he is, buffing his new robes, and all you can complain. All you want is a bit of shit housery. Right?
Aye. Is it the Protestant work ethic, Desi? Is that what it is?
What?
Is it the Protestant work ethic? Is that what
exactly. A bit of respect for a man in the yards. Right, mate. So then we penalty, mate. So I think, I don't know, Ralph, what you thought, but I just had visions of Engels missing and kind of buggering up the start of his Celtic career, or else Forrest missing and buggering up this whole kind of fairy tale Indian summer career of Forrest. But before we get to the final penalty, up to that point, Ralph, how were you? How were the nerves? What were you thinking? Were you thinking he's missing, he's saving, or whatever? What were your thoughts?
When you're watching on the television, you can tell if they're going to miss a score just by looking at their faces. And none of ours looked like they were going to miss. The guy that did miss for Rangers, as soon as he was walking up and he's trying to put on a wee bit extra bravado, he's trying to look a wee bit braver, and you knew he was going to miss.
Yeah, and did you not see? But sorry, exactly. See that Yilmaz one? Michael grabs the ball. I don't know if you. So there's a big thing on Twitter about how Schmeichel grabs the ball before I think Butland can get it, or afterwards, and he holds it on to Maeda. But then with the save, Ralph, I don't know if I know you and Monty don't bother too much with Twitter and that these days, but have you seen the picture when Schmeichel saves Yilmaz's kick, and it's Carter Vickers, and he's got his hands in a calm down mode, as if, oh God, we're nearly there. But Maeda's feet right off the ground, and he's fucking punching the air. This is the guy who's going to go and take a penalty.
I've seen that photograph.
Unbelievable.
I seen that photograph, Eddie, and then I was trying to match it to after we won it. And I couldn't see when Maeda jumped, because obviously he took the last fucking penalty, so I didn't realise that's when he jumped. I'd seen the photo. I thought it was a stop maybe from beating Aberdeen.
I love James Forrest.
He just puts the ball up, puts it down, doesn't look at where it's going, and walks up and just stops.
Yeah, yes and no, Ralph. Yes and no. When Hector came into ours, he was saying, how was it? How did it look in the telly? I went, the worst thing is when Maeda put that ball down, it bobbles, it rolls a wee bit, and you thought, oh fuck, this is either going to be him sliding or he's going to go underneath. It's going to be a big divot and it's going to go sky high Dixie Dean style. And then thankfully he miskicks it. According to maybe he's just winding folk up with it. Even better, wee Cherry, tell him I miskicked it. No, that way. Yeah. He said he miskicked it and Butland goes the wrong way. And
can I just say, see for those of us in the stadium, right, when it was the last penalty kick taken, and we don't know who's taking the penalty, so they're all standing together in the line. And obviously it's over to the last guy to take it. We're all thinking, who's it going to be? Is it going to be James or somebody else that's going to take it? Now, we've all got our Celtic granda crushes in Maeda, right? But everybody around about me, and I'm sure this was replicated across the stadium, when they seen it was Dyson, and went, oh, for fuck's sake, he's not taking a penalty. Now, we all love him, but I think we're all agreed that technically he's maybe not quite as strong as some others. And we're all going, oh, for fuck's sake, Dyson's taking it. As you say, he just walked up as if he was in a public park, smoked a cigar and just fucking put it away. The celebrations were great, weren't they?
I think his missus and his weigh-ins were more fucking concerned than he was.
Like that, poor counting him, and the guy in front of him was laughing his head off. But I'm voting there's a brilliant clip for the Rangers end. And I can't, forgive me if I'm getting the wording wrong, but the sentiment's the exact same. But basically, Maeda scores, Butland goes the wrong way, and this woman, all the Rangers fans suddenly just turn and go to leave, and you just hear this Rangers woman shouting, Butland, you shite bag. And I'm like, this pure Scottish
took a penalty.
Butland, you shite bag. It wasn't fighting. You know what I mean? But then that's another thing, like, Ralph, I actually thought during the game, it's one of the games where clearly Rangers have got their respect back, right? They've come back in the last few weeks, they've won these games, they drew with Spurs, they seem to be on the up and up, so to speak, according to the media. They've went toe-to-toe with Celtic, regardless of how it pans out. They've had so many shots at our goal, blah, blah, blah. They get beaten penalties. I honestly thought they were all going to stay and clap them and say, we're behind you guys. And then Celtic are waiting to get the trophy. The Green Brigade have grabbed the Premier livery, so that's delayed. And you turn round, not one Rangers fan left in the fucking stadium. I was honestly, genuinely shocked.
Tavernier had to get some of the players back out as well, because some of them went down the tunnel, and he's pulled, and of course he's been commended for that and the dignity and everything.
Respect.
But a lot of them went down the tunnel. All it is for them, they're a bunch of average players that can't get a job anywhere else. So the transfer windows are coming up. They've had 2 high-profile games. They're trying to make a wee name for themselves so they can get out of there. Simple as that.
A couple of wee things, just on the penalties. Just one final thing on the penalties for me, right? There's one of the, maybe Premier Sports behind the goal or Celtic TV, one of the two, they do the kind of, the goal footage right at the kind of goal going in. And it's after Dyson scores, and obviously he runs over to Schmiechels standing to the other side. He jumps on top of him, and it's great footage. It shows you all the players sprinting towards them. But one of the funniest things was they're all together, and then they're jumping each other, and there's always one player that comes out of the group and just can't control himself. Tony Ralston, right? Tony Ralston jumps out the group towards their fans. We are fucking up, you right? And he's let that out, but then he's went, fuck it. He's then ran around the other side of the team celebrations and went like that to them all. Come on. Just sprint up to the Celtic fans like a wee boy about 10-year-old that's won his first trophy, you know what I mean? If you get a chance to watch it, you'll honestly watch it a few times. It was brilliant. But Des, you see the, and guys, the penalties, sorry, I was just going to say, see the penalties. So no, the penalties, the trophy, they disappeared in almost, double quick time. So they've disappeared. The Celtic fans have jumped, because how behind the Hampden goals, there's this big fucking massive, 40, 50 metres. Celtic fans have jumped over the hoardings, and they're no far behind the pitch. Genuinely thought, please don't go on the pitch. Please. And they didn't, to be fair. But see, watching it on the TV when I showed you, it was fucking brilliant. They were all bouncing about, having a party. Did the Premier Sports sign up in the air? waving it about in the air, singing, banging. Oh, it was just great. And they've deserted the other end. It was what a party. It was absolutely fucking brilliant.
Just one
Enjoy
thing
it, man.
you wouldn't have got unless you were watching it again, or it's maybe some of the stuff that's doing the rounds. It's a shout out to Jerry McCullough, big fan of the podcast. As he said, the Rangers fans still here to cheer on their team, all dressed as seats. But if all be dressed as seats or something like that, it's fucking brilliant. Because the picture is just literally not a single sinner in that end. It's just all fucking melted away. It's glorious.
See, and again, like every now and again, Ralph knows all about God. Every now and again, God likes to test you, right? So you think you know life and you think you know humanity. So like, I watched that game, and as I say, I genuinely thought Rangers fans will stay and applaud their team. I honestly thought that would be like a kind of coming together. We'll all win this together, Phil. Here we go. So that was fine.
Yep.
So that never happened. That was fine. So then I actually thought Big Phil's going to come out and say, what about my team today? Right? Big Phil's going to come out and go, what about my team today? No false claims. They had all these shots, blah, 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 blah. Ralph, he walks out and the first thing he says is, what about that penalty? and that was it. That was it. All bets were off. No, all bets were off. My phone nearly exploded. My phone has exploded since that penalty.
But what he's done is he's let himself down there by trying to make an excuse instead of doing, as you say, saying, oh, look at the guys, it's coming together, we're working on it. I said it would be October, November. All right, I'm a couple of weeks out, but we're getting there. And then the media would have ran with that narrative. But instead, it's back to the old narrative of cheated and referees can't be trusted. So he's missed a chance to get the support on his side. Now all they're saying is you should be reporting this, you should be investigating him, and he's lost a chance to get at least another month or two out of the job before they finally get rid of him.
Yeah, and Monty, I don't think you would have saw one of these. So his first line was, what about that penalty? The penalty we should have got. All right, okay. And then the next line was, this is to the interviewer interviewing him. I know you guys like to investigate these things. So he's trying to put the onus on the media to be the Rangers champion, to go and get fair play. In the spirit of fair play, Monty, surely we should all be working towards getting the replay that Rangers so richly deserve.
Indeed, I think there was cries for a replay. There was a lot of suggestions that people needed to go back and have a look at see how just hard done by the Rangers Football Club was, and it was one of those. Be careful what you go looking for, because I think you might find the stats are going to be slightly skewed, not the way you want them.
Have they actually had a penalty this year? This season?
Penalty? He must have had a penalty. I don't think they've scored for a set piece yet. I think that was one of the things they've not done yet.
Have they had a penalty? I can't remember getting a penalty since Willie Cullen took over.
Well,
I don't know. They'll get one this weekend. You can get one this weekend.
Oh, you guarantee now. This has to now play out in some shape or form for them, because without it, they're broken. I wouldn't be surprised if they get a very soft penalty on the 2nd of January. But
that took about 5 or 6 to make up for it.
They're going to have to do something. The thing that I love most was the clip on Sports Scene where the guy said it had ruined his party.
Super scoreboard. Clyde won super scoreboard. And again, if anyone's looking for his own Twitter, somebody's actually taking the clip. I think Wee Wally or whatever phones up. And the Monday, I don't even know if that was a Monday. It might have been the Monday second half. But it'd been your usual people phoning in. That's a disgrace. And then John, Celtic fan, phones in and goes, well, and it was Hook Evans and I can't remember who our punter wasn't he? Yeah. Andy Halliday that time. But Hook Evans and somebody else. And it was John, Celtic fan, phones in. Actually, that was the correct decision. That was a correct decision. And Gordon Duncan, who you'd have thought would have just played the devil's advocate, he suddenly started quoting rule books. No. If it's the original, blah, blah. And the guy goes, well, as an ex-referee, and as if he was talking to a layman, it turned out John, the Celtic fan, was an ex-referee. Yeah, and I swear to God, maybe the rules have changed since you were a referee, John. And the guy's like, maybe they have. Not very clearly. We are not changing the narrative. At no point was the narrative ever have Rangers got it wrong. It was always Beaton made a mistake and VAR let everyone down. So VAR became the go-to blame guy, the scapegoat. It wasn't Beaton, it was VAR to blame. And it should always definitely have been a penalty, and that's just been the narrative regardless. Sorry, Hector.
I was just going to say, just on that though, right? And this has come back to it in real time. And this might be part of why it wasn't even thought about looking in any great detail. Nobody appealed for a penalty at the time because the infringement was outside the box. So even the Rangers, there was usually when players shout penalty and they're around the referee, that's a penalty. There was none of that because they thought it was a foul outside the box. And I wonder if that plays into it. You know how they thought, well, nobody's appealing for a penalty. We're not even going to bother spending much time on it because there was nobody shouting, going mad for a penalty at the weekend during the game.
I mean, the thing also. Sorry, Ralph. Go on ahead, man.
I just said the actual infringement when the referee blew, it was outside the box. It was clearly outside. If he hadn't blown at that point, then it was a penalty because it was on the line. Yeah. The offence took place inside. But the minute that the play stopped, VAR can only check before that, not after.
Yeah.
So that's what was called in.
That's the key, Ralph, because what gets lost is that VAR is there to support where there's been a clear and obvious error. And it was neither clear nor an obvious error because Beaton had blown to give the free and the infringement is clearly outside the box. And the timing of all that, VAR has no reason to intervene in that regard, even if it wants to, because it's not a clear and an obvious error in any shape or form. The referee took his decision. You know, there are multiple things which they've all got removed from the narrative as well. It's quite clearly that the SFA are out to get Rangers, apparently, and the referees are all corrupt, apparently, and they need to demand retribution. So
yeah, laughable. I'm hearing this guy Connor's getting this guy.
Frank Connor Jr. I've got about
Frank Connor Jr. no less, right? He's getting mentioned. I wonder why, right? He's the assistant VAR. The VAR was Alan Muir. Alan Muir, as we all know, is every bit, if no worse than Beaton. But he was the guy that missed the handball against Inverness on the goal line all those years ago. So, but Alan Muir's the VAR. You know, it's like blaming the assistant referee when it's the referee who made the call.
Alan Muir asked Frank Connor Jr., "Can you rewind that?" And Frank Jr. pressed erase instead. That's what's happened there. He's deleted the footage, or else Maeda's ran in, changed the tapes, and ran back out again without anybody actually noticing. You know what I mean? So that was that. So officially Celtic now have 119 titles. Do we give a fuck about being the world's most successful club? Yes or no? Other than ripping the piss out of them.
No.
Not one person cares. I mean, until we've got 16 Champions Leagues, then I don't think any Celtic fan will ever care.
It was laughable, Desi. You're right. Real Madrid's clearly the biggest, most by a fucking distance. Real Madrid are right. But I think we all took the piss out of them. But there's nothing wrong for a few days taking the piss out of them about this, right? Even though we're the most successful club in Scotland, blah blah blah. That's it. Get up, that's it. Right?
Yeah, but Ralph. So again, like I've been loving the last few days, and again, even like we're cracking jokes on Sunday post game, and people are going, "Get that shit in the bin," right? And I'm saying you're allowed to laugh at them for a day, and then we can just bin it, so to speak, right? But at least enjoy the moment. Don't be just that doom and gloom. We don't take part in that sort of nonsense. But I just love the fact that Rangers then started coming with it was never a thing for us. And then people started leaking all the videos. They had a song about being the most successful club in the world. And you've all this coverage of the fans singing the most successful club in the world song around Scotland. And then you'll get that wall mural and all that. And then suddenly you get all the jokes with like the tuna fat, painters been hired to go, all these kind of gags. That was fine. That was great. And I thought it was dying away. And then we came to the darts. Celtic players get a couple of days off, went to Ali Pally in the darts, and Hugh, Big Scale, Stephen Welsh, Carter Vickers. I think Ralph's might have even been, Greg Taylor's there. There's Carter and Cameron. Everybody at the darts holds up Paddy Power signs with writing on them. and thing me. There's Carter Vickers, a big sign, 119. Somebody else has got bring your dinner, because that was our Rangers fans quote before the game. Somebody else is can you see us coming? And it's just hilarious. So if you get a chance, anyone go and look up Celtic players at the darts. Just to that was the icing on the cake. Just to think, if you're a Cameron Carter Vickers, I mean, like, remember him and Joe Hart partying and all in the tune after winning the league. These sort of things. It must be brilliant.
Just in terms of funny thing, my last comment for the game was you'd mentioned them hanging back to Tavernier and that hanging back, and there was a delay because the Celtic fans were behind the goal a few minutes. But one of the really funny things, and I've never seen or heard this before, was when they went up to get the runners-up medals. It was on the pitch for the League Cup final, right? But they were going up. What the Celtic fans started going, oh, hey! every time one of their players was going up, the Celtic fans were celebrating. And I've never seen that. And I must admit, that was a funny moment, right? But 8 or 10 of them, it started getting louder and louder towards the end. So that was a big funny moment.
Yet again, Monty, a lack of respect. I mean, once again, we're showing that Celtic fans have no respect. They cannot even win with dignity. So surely they should keep that game, Monty.
I read a comment from Butland today, which I had to read a couple of times to think, fuck me, he's drank the Kool-Aid as well. Where he mentioned the puff piece in the paper was about how he was full of dignity. He stayed there to watch us. And his comment was something along the lines of, but no, you should do that. And, clearly would the opponent have done it for us? It's not likely. He was basically saying was that we would lack any sort of reciprocal respect for them. And it's just shit. Yeah. The same as Clement not being able to say the word fucking Celtic, not being able to refer to a Celtic player as their name. It's like they drink some fucking insanity juice and they just come up with these bizarre theories on what dignity is. So I think that we need to issue brown brogues to the first team squad. That's the first thing.
Did you get to the bottom of that article where they did go to Celtic for an alternative quote? And they asked Cal McGregor, would you stay behind if you lost a final? And he said, I've no idea. It's never happened.
Never happened. Fuck me. What a record.
So that was that. So I just had one final question, right? And I think I know the answer given. And it's just, is Kasper Schmeichel your current best player? Or most important player? Put it that way. I think he's got the Fraser Foster impact now, Monty, that we talked about long before. I think Schmeichel has had the same impact as Fraser Foster. Maybe no so many big games up to this point, but I think as an impact player, I think he's had a similar impact, probably similar to Joe Hart too, but I think he's been very impressive.
I was going to say it, Desi. It was one of the years of the signing window. Sorry, Ralph, I jumped in. Where it was either Forster. No, it was when Hart signed, and I think you had said that, who would be the most important signing, and you'd called it out with Hart. And I think you're absolutely right on Schmeichel. When I watched him in the Bruges game, taking control of that huddle after we really hadn't performed and we'd conceded, and you see now, like, bear in mind, he's also 37 or 38 now. He's the oldest player in the dressing room, but with that huge career behind him, and he's still an international keeper. I think, it's an absolute, especially given Hart leaving. I think he's probably the most important signing, and certainly one of the most important people in that room now.
He's certainly been impressive. Hector, would you agree?
I think his personality is just infectious, and it's an interesting one. He's obviously still, Denmark's a quality team. He just played at the recent Euros there. He's still the number one, even after the Euros. Man City for years, obviously Leicester winning the EPL. He's got it's his personality, I think. He's got a massive fucking self-belief, and you can see it with him. Compared to Joe Hart, I felt Joe Hart lacked self-belief when he came to Celtic because he went through 2 or 3 years of a really tough time. Was it Burnley, third choice, Spurs, third choice? Whereas Kasper's came here being the number one for the bulk of his career. So he exudes confidence, and you can see that. And I think he brings that on the pitch, which is a great thing. Is your most important player? That's a really difficult one. I would say well, this season, Kuhn's been the most important player this season, but he's up there. He's been week by week, month by month. He's just became more and more impressive, I think, as a leader, a visible leader. Yeah.
Yeah, and strangely, as much as I really like him, I'd actually like to see him get a rest, to be honest. And see, I don't know if you saw the photos of the presentation, but the big Finnish keeper, I need to look up how big he is, because he seemed to be bending down and he still looked a good 5 inch above scales, etc. on the back of the presentation line. So he looks gigantic, that Finnish keeper. I'd like to see him get a game at some point, because at one point during the game, Schmeichel actually went down with his ankle, I think, and it was is he okay? And thankfully he was okay, because you kind of think, well, the backup's not much chance. Ralph, you any thoughts just before we finish?
If he was to take a more responsible and leading role with the defence and cut out the hesitancy and the side passing, then I think he would be the most influential player in the team. As it stands just now, when it comes to organisation at the back, he's not quite at Joe Hall's level. And it's maybe just because he's still only a few months into the team. But if he was to do that, because he has got the personality and he has got the experience, then we might stop to this kind of hesitant play across the back.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting, like, if we start doing we used to do that wee chip to Monty's pal Mikael Lustig. We used to love that wee chip over the front press to knock it down to Kalmack. We've not really implemented that yet. That would be good to see. Right, so that is a League Cup final. That is the 3 trophies back at home at Paradise. Everything's as it should be. Sadly, the Glasgow Cup, we gave Rangers the Glasgow Cup the other night, so they can enjoy that. So that was nice. But that's the League Cup done and dusted, and then we just move forward. So Dundee United this week, pre-Christmas. Hector, quick prediction. No, I'll go first. I'm happy to go first. Given all the players doing at Ali Pali, I'm going to say a draw. Post success, we'll take a draw and we'll be quite happy. We'll be satisfied. I'm not asking for the earth.
It's on Sunday though, isn't it? It's Sunday in Canada, isn't it? It's no Saturday, it's Sunday.
And McCowan will be back. Remember, McCowan was cup time.
I think we'll win. I think we'll win by a couple of goals, does it?
Oh, nice. Fucking nice confidence. Monty? Dundee United away.
Yeah, similar sentiment to Hector. I think they'll shake a hangover in 20 minutes. We'll win by a couple of goals. I'll go for I think we'll score 2. I think we'll go 2-0, does it? I don't think we'll score.
Well, will Ida start or will Kyogo start?
I think Ida will start.
Okay. Ralph, final predictions?
We've not beaten them this season yet, have we?
Dundee United?
Yeah,
we did.
Not yet.
We've only drew with Aberdeen.
No, we've not played them yet. This is the first time.
Is this like Kilmarnock and Dundee 3 times they've played each other? Oh, right.
It would have been a great trivia question right up until Sunday. But again, it depends on how we come back. There's no European game now for about, is it
January,
3 months?
Yeah.
I think
we're January.
In between. It'll be freshen it all up again, and hopefully the momentum will carry on over the festive period, because festive periods can be kind of funny. It's sandwiched in between we're back in action in Europe on the 5th, and we've got them again on the 2nd. So it's going to be kind of daft wee games just to get out of the way and get the points on the board. I think
there's a lot of games, don't there? There's a load of games coming up now, isn't there?
As I say,
it's pretty much non-stop for about 6 weeks, isn't it?
Before we play Young Boys, I put on our chat, this is maybe last week, before we play Young Boys, we play 10 games and Young Boys play 1. You know what I mean? So that'll be quite interesting.
I've got a horrible feeling we've blown that. They'll come back all nice and fresh. We'll all be knackered. Never do be injured and hungover.
That's the spirit, Ralph. That's the spirit.
I'm pretty sure we'll find our form again. I'm pretty sure we'll find our form. Kieran Tierney will be released and he'll be ready to go.
He's just been off injured at Arsenal.
No, in and out. He what?
He's just been off injured.
Oh, I thought you said he just scored. We'll cross January when it comes. Hopefully, Conor Barron will finally get his tribunal to allow Rangers to pay him. I couldn't believe the fact that somebody put up that if you are part of a tribunal, it means that as soon as they decide how much is compensation's due, the compensation must be paid within 14 days. So that is why there are allegations that it would be a lot nicer if we can put that tribunal off as long as possible, i.e. end of the season, we'll take out your prize money. So that'll be interesting to see what happens. Right, so that is it. So that was the League Cup final, folks. All went well, all finished, all's well that ends well, and super dies in Maeda yet again. So it's just left to me to say thank you for listening to everyone. Coming up next, in the next podcast to be broadcast will be our end of year awards. I don't imagine there will be another podcast unless something amazing happens, i.e. Brendan Rodgers leaves to join our EPL team. Happened before, but we'll wait and see what happens. But I'm pretty sure it won't. There's actually, Monty, talking about that, there was even rumours today of a new Brendan contract in January circulating, so we'll see if anything happens there.
Heard that first.
I don't know if it's for Celtic. I don't know if it's definitely a new contract for him at Celtic. It could be elsewhere, who knows? But we'll see what happens when it comes. But yeah, we'll cross January bridge when it comes. This left for me to say thank you to the panel tonight. Thank you, Hector.
Thanks, guys. Enjoyed that.
Thank you very much, Ralph Marley, for eventually making it.
It's been a strange day. Thanks again. It was great.
Yeah, well done. You can go back to your goddess. And the man from northern Sweden. So what would the C stand for then?
Fucking cold.
Christ, it's cold.
Fucking 24 last night. Cold.
Could they use any more wood? Monty C, could they use any more wood? Burns. Thank you very much, Monty.
Thanks, Eddie. Thanks, lads.
All right, folks. So we did ask the pundits before we finish. As normal, we'll have a shout out from our sponsor, Big Tam. But we did ask the punters what would be the best song to play for tonight. A lot of people did suggest we just hijack Simply the Best, but I'm just going to avoid that for now. But by the largest consensus seemed to be I Walk the Line by Johnny Cash. So that was Rodney Farmer and Paul Moody for this too. So we'll play I Walk the Line by Johnny Cash. Well, no by Johnny Cash, by someone else, and I'll let the listeners guess who it is once it plays. All right, my name is Desmond. Good night.
Are you a Scottish football referee who now has plenty of time on your hands and no local pub to go to? Well, why not get yourself down to Big Tam's Gallowgate Wellness Clinic for all your post-league cup final blues. Every John, Dick, and Harry welcome, no disguises necessary. Don't worry, you won't get beaten up. Big Tam's, your one-stop counseling shop for a hug and a belly rub, for when you best mates turn their back on you.
I keep a close watch on his heart of mine. I keep my eyes wide open all the time. I keep the ends out for the tie that binds. Because you're mine, I walk the line. I find it very, very easy to be true. I find myself alone when each day's through. Yes, I'll admit that I'm a fool for you. Because you're mine, I walk the line. As sure as night is dark and day is light, I keep you on my mind both day and night. And happiness I've known proves that it's right. Because you're mine, I walk the line. You've got a way to keep me on your side. You give me cause for love that I can't hide. For you I know I'd even try to turn the tide. Because you're mine, I walk the line. I keep a close watch on this heart of mine. I keep my eyes wide open all the time. I keep the ends out for the tie that binds. Because you're mine, I walk the line.